Erin Patterson was named as a suspect
following a deadly mushroom dish.
The woman who cooked the lethal lunch.
How he managed his miraculous recovery after ingesting death cap mushrooms.
Since triple murderer Erin Patterson was found guilty.
The last name is Patterson.
Erin Patterson.
Erin Patterson.
Erin Patterson.
Erin Patterson.
And I can't believe that this has happened, and I'm so sorry.
She sent the children to the movies. That was the detail that stayed with people. On the morning of July 29, 2023, before her guests arrived for Sunday lunch at her house in Leongatha, a quiet rural town about 85 miles southeast of Melbourne, Australia, Erin Patterson made sure her 2 children were out of the house. She sent them to see a film. They would not be eating with the family that day. They would not be at the table. 4 guests arrived for that lunch. Her mother-in-law, Gail Patterson, 70 years old. Her father-in-law, Donald Patterson, 70 years old. Gail's sister, Heather Wilkinson, 66 years old. And Heather's husband, Ian Wilkinson, 68 years old, a pastor who had known Erin for years, who had seen her regularly at the local church, who had no reason in the world to think that the woman serving him lunch wanted anything other than a pleasant afternoon. The meal was homemade beef Wellington. A classic dish of beef wrapped in pastry with a layer of mushroom paste. Erin had made individual portions, 1 for each guest. Each was served on a large gray plate. Erin ate her own meal from a different plate, orange tan, clearly distinguishable from the 4 she had served her guests. Within hours, all 4 guests were vomiting. By the following morning, all 4 had been admitted to hospital with severe gastrointestinal symptoms. Within days, the diagnosis became clear. Death cap mushrooms, Amanita phalloides, the most lethal fungus on Earth, responsible for approximately 90% of all mushroom-related fatalities worldwide, had been in that beef Wellington. 1 mushroom contains enough amatoxin to kill an adult. The toxin works slowly and mercilessly. It attacks the liver and kidneys over the course of days, allowing just enough time for the victim to believe they might recover before the organs begin to fail completely.
Fathom what has happened. I just can't fathom what has happened.
An Australian family's meal is now the centre of a homicide investigation.
Play after a deadly meal claimed 3 lives.
And a family lunch turned deadly.
I cannot think of another investigation that has generated this level of media and public interest.
Hello, what address do you need the police? So, this is Dr. Chris Webster calling from Leongatha Hospital, and I have a concern regarding a patient that presented here earlier but has left the building and is potentially exposed to a fatal toxin from mushroom poisoning, and I've tried several times to get hold of her on her mobile phone.
So, before I get all that information in, what address do you need the police to attend, Dr. Chris?
Yeah, so, well, should I give the hospital address or the address of the patient?
If you know where they are, their address.
I have the address of the patient.
Yeah, go ahead with that. When did she present at hospital?
At 8:05.
Today?
Yeah.
Mushroom poisoning, you said?
Yeah, so there were 5 people that ate a meal on Saturday, and 2 of them are in intensive care at Dandenong Hospital. 2 have just been transferred from Leongatha Hospital to Dandenong Hospital, and Erin presented this morning with symptoms of poisoning.
When she presented, she just got up and left?
No, there was time for the nurse to begin observations, and I was managing the other critically unwell patients, so I had a brief chat to her about where the mushrooms were obtained, and after that, while I was attending the other patients, the nurse informed me that she had discharged herself against medical advice.
Donald Patterson died on August 4, 2023. Gail Patterson died on August 5, the same day she received a liver transplant that arrived too late. Heather Wilkinson died on August 4 as well. 3 people dead within 6 days of eating Sunday lunch. Ian Wilkinson survived. He spent weeks in intensive care, hovering between life and death, receiving a liver transplant that took hold. When he finally left the hospital, 7 weeks after that meal, he was the only one left. And 2 years later, he would walk into a courtroom and testify against the woman who had served him that plate. Erin Trudy Patterson, born Erin Scudder on September 30, 1974, had grown up in the southeastern Melbourne suburb of Glen Waverley. Her father was a civil servant. Her mother was an academic and lecturer. She was bright, capable, and practical. She earned a science degree from the University of Melbourne before switching to accounting, then trained as an air traffic controller and graduated in 2001, working for Air Services Australia for nearly 2 years before moving on to animal management work for the RSPCA. She was, by every visible measure, a competent and organized woman who knew how systems worked and how to move through them. She had been married to Simon Patterson since the early 2000s. They had 2 children together.
I'm not aware of an investigation where we've had 3 people die as a result of apparent food poisoning, whether that be by mushroom or something else. So yes, it is rather unique. 4 people turn up and 3 of them have passed away, with another one critical.
Mum and Dad were very much a team working at life together. The fact they died on consecutive days is fitting in some ways, as it reflects the togetherness as a couple that they always worked so hard to grow.
A boy and a girl. By 2022, the marriage had collapsed. They separated. The split was difficult. There were financial tensions. There were disputes about the children. And, according to what would later emerge in court, there was something darker underneath. Simon Patterson would testify, in October 2024, that he believed his estranged wife had already tried to poison him, not once, but 3 times, before the July 2023 lunch. He told the court that he had experienced sudden, severe, unexplained illness on multiple occasions. Each time, the episode had followed a meal prepared by Erin. He had become so suspicious of her intentions that when she invited him to the July 29th lunch, he had declined. He told the court plainly, "I thought there'd be a risk that she'd poison me if I attended." His parents did not know what he suspected. They accepted the invitation. When police began investigating the deaths, they asked Erin Patterson a series of straightforward questions. Had she foraged for wild mushrooms? No, she said. She had purchased mushrooms from an Asian grocery store in Melbourne. Had she ever owned a food dehydrator? No, she said. Had she been ill herself after the lunch? She had, she said. She had gone to hospital with symptoms similar to her guests. Every one of those answers was false.
Triple murderer Erin Patterson was found guilty.
The last name is Patterson.
Erin Patterson.
Erin Patterson.
Erin Patterson.
Erin Patterson.
And I can't believe that this has happened, and I'm so sorry.
They would always wave goodbye, but they parted ways. It's partly because one day would be the last wave. Mum's final text message on our family group chat as she lay in Dandenong Hospital was, "Lots of love to you all."
Have you chosen not to attend?
My lawyer has told me not to talk to you, so I've got nothing to say to you. I'm sorry.
If you've been unfairly persecuted in the media, as you say, this is your chance, Erin, to set the record straight.
Investigators found a food dehydrator in a waste recycling center. It had been dropped off by Erin Patterson on August 2, 2023, while her guests were still dying in hospital. The dehydrator had her fingerprints on it. Inside, forensic scientists found residue. Death cap mushroom residue. Cell phone data placed Erin Patterson in the vicinity of a known death cap mushroom growing site on April 28, 2023, the same day she purchased the dehydrator. She had returned to a second known site in May. The prosecution argued she had foraged the mushrooms, dried them in the dehydrator to concentrate their toxicity, ground them into powder, and mixed that powder into the mushroom paste of her guests' beef Wellington portions, but not her own. When her guests were admitted to hospital and the investigation began, Erin Patterson factory reset her phone and her iPad, wiping their contents. She also, according to prosecutors, pretended to have fallen ill herself, visiting a hospital and presenting with symptoms she claimed were mushroom-related. Medical staff found the symptoms inconsistent with death cap poisoning. The prosecution built their case around what they called 4 calculated deceptions. First, she had invented a fake cancer diagnosis as the pretext for the lunch. Telling her guests she had been diagnosed with cancer and wanted to discuss how to break the news to her children, to give them a reason to come. Second, she had secretly laced her guests' portions with a lethal dose of death cap mushrooms while keeping her own portion clean. Third, she had faked illness herself to create the impression of an accident. And fourth, she had engaged in an elaborate cover-up, dumping the dehydrator, wiping her devices, and lying systematically to police. The defense countered with a simple argument: accident. Patterson had foraged mushrooms at some point, yes, but accidentally, not intentionally. She had not known what species she was picking. The mushrooms had ended up in the meal by mistake. She had lied to police afterward, not out of guilt but out of panic, fearing she would be blamed for deaths she had not intended. And crucially, the defense pointed out, there was no established motive. Erin Patterson had a good relationship with Simon's parents. They were her children's grandparents. She had known the Wilkinsons through church for years. Why would she want them dead? The prosecution's response was direct: you don't need to know why someone did something in order to know that they did it. The question for the jury was not motive. It was intent. And the evidence, the dehydrator, the foraging trips, the separate plate, the cover-up, the lies.
A Supreme Court jury has found Erin Patterson guilty of murdering 3 relatives.
She had a dilemma, and the solution that she chose is sociopathic.
I just can't fathom what has happened.
I've been told that while Erin was made comments about her estranged husband Simon, that once she gets...
I'm devastated. I love them. And I can't believe that this has happened, and I'm so sorry that they have lost their lives.
Kind of word of mouth gets around, and it's the allegation that Erin is ill will towards him. And
do you believe she will appeal this verdict?
Just, I'm her friend and I'll see her, I'll visit with her.
Was Erin confident that she would walk today? Did you think she was going to get out?
I don't know.
She's in the Murray unit at the only women's maximum security prison in Victoria, and female criminals. And that includes Malka Leifer, who is the ex-headmistress at the Addis Israel School and sex predator, Samantha Azapati, who's a notorious con woman, and I say that to give contrast at the bottom. So they really don't like her. Said that she's kind of really manipulative, arrogant.
Police say you're a suspect. Do you have anything to say about
that?
Yes,
I say I didn't do anything. I love them. And I'm devastated that they're gone.
So this story's done the rounds a little bit, but it basically goes that while Erin was locked up, Erin was moved from the Murray unit to a separate unit, and a subsequent search of her cell allegedly uncovered a couple of bottles of mayonnaise in her laundry basket and a chemical. So by all accounts, Erin was living a really comfortable life, and she was pretty well set up. She will now be surrounded by other criminals every day in a unit. She'll need to take on a job. It might be textiles, making prison jumpsuits. She's pretty private. By all accounts, she does keep to herself, and she's been knitting for her children, kind of trying to get by, but at the same time, she's not making a great deal of friends.
Guilty to attempted murder of Ian Wilkinson, guilty of the murder of Heather Wilkinson.
Both sides will argue, whether or not she should be given a high sentence or being given some leniency. She'll spend the next few decades, I would say at least, behind bars.
Told a story of intent that was, prosecutors argued, beyond any reasonable doubt. The trial began on April 29, 2025, at Latrobe Valley Magistrates Court in Morwell, a small former coal mining town about an hour's drive from Leongatha. It ran for 10 weeks. More than 50 witnesses were called. Erin Patterson herself took the stand for 8 days, a remarkable decision by the defense, given the risks of prolonged cross-examination. She maintained, under hours of questioning, that the poisonings had been an accident. She denied foraging death cap mushrooms deliberately. She denied knowing what she was picking. She said she had panicked, and lied, and thrown away the dehydrator because she was frightened, not because she was guilty. The prosecution's lead barrister, Nanette Rogers, was methodical. She walked the jury through the cell phone location data, the dehydrator purchase, the foraging sites, the timing, the lies, the separate plate, the children sent to the movies before the guests arrived. She told the jury, the first deception was the fabricated cancer claims she used as a pretense for the lunch invitation. The second deception was the lethal doses of poison the accused secreted in the home-cooked beef Wellingtons. Ian Wilkinson, the sole survivor, the man who had spent weeks in induced coma and undergone a liver transplant, testified about that day. He said he had watched Erin serve the guests from the gray plates while eating from a different colored one herself. He described the afternoon, the conversation, the food, what happened in the hours that followed. He was 68 years old and his wife of 44 years was dead, and he sat in that courtroom and told the jury everything he remembered. Erin Patterson showed almost no emotion throughout the trial. She blinked rapidly when the verdicts were read. She kept her eyes closed or stared straight ahead during her sentencing. She said nothing. On July 7, 2025, after 6 days of deliberation, the jury returned their verdict. Guilty of the murder of Donald Patterson. Guilty of the murder of Gail Patterson. Guilty of the murder of Heather Wilkinson. Guilty of the attempted murder of Ian Wilkinson. The sentencing hearing took place on September 8, 2025. And for the first time in the history of Victoria's Supreme Court, it was broadcast live on national television. Justice Christopher Beale cited the intense public interest in the case as his reason for allowing the cameras in. Dozens of media crews and members of the public gathered outside the courthouse. Inside, victim impact statements were read, 28 of them in total, 7 publicly. Families described the loss of people they would never stop missing. Ian Wilkinson spoke outside the court after sentencing and said simply that he hoped the verdict would bring some peace to those who loved Gail, Don, and Heather. Justice Beale sentenced Erin Patterson to 3 concurrent life sentences for the murders and a concurrent 25-year sentence for the attempted murder of Ian Wilkinson. The non-parole period was set at 33 years. She will not be eligible for parole until November 2056. She will be 82 years old.
It was some of the best people that I've ever met. Gail was like...
Take your time.
Gail was the mum that I didn't have because my mum passed away 4 years ago. And Gail's never been anything but good and kind to me. And Ian and Heather were some of the best people I've ever... It's that I just can't fathom what has happened. I just can't fathom what has happened.
The judge said her crimes involved substantial premeditation and an elaborate cover-up, and represented an enormous betrayal of trust that had inflicted untold suffering on her own children, who had lost their grandparents because of what their mother had done. He noted that she had shown no remorse. He noted that she had provided no psychiatric or psychological evidence at the sentencing hearing, and that he had no doubt she had instructed her lawyers not to provide it. He did not speculate about her motive. Only you know why you committed them, he told her. I will not be speculating about that matter. After the sentence was handed down, newly unsealed court documents revealed additional evidence that had not been presented to the trial jury. Simon Patterson's belief that Erin had poisoned him on at least 3 separate occasions before the July 2023 lunch. A specialist who had reviewed Simon's medical files concluded his symptoms were consistent with a toxic or infective cause. The charges related to those alleged prior poisonings had been dropped by prosecutors before the trial began, for reasons that were never publicly explained. In October 2025, prosecutors announced they were appealing the sentence, calling it manifestly inadequate. The appeal is pending. Erin Patterson is simultaneously appealing her conviction. She is being held in isolation, classified as a notorious prisoner, kept separate from the general population for her own safety, permitted contact with only one other prisoner. Her red MG SUV was listed for sale on Facebook Marketplace by her lawyer in late 2025, priced at $18,500. It was quickly removed after the listing attracted media attention. The community of Corumburra. The small rural town where all 3 victims had lived, where they had gone to church and raised families and been known by everyone, received those 28 victim impact statements. Dawn and Gail Patterson had been pillars of that community. Heather Wilkinson had been married to the local pastor for 44 years. The people who loved them had gathered for a Sunday lunch. They had eaten a meal prepared by someone they trusted. And they had not come home. There is a question this case raises that no verdict can answer. The prosecution proved, to a jury's satisfaction beyond reasonable doubt, that Erin Patterson had deliberately poisoned those 4 people. But they never established, and never tried to establish, why. There is no clear motive on record. No financial gain that was obvious. No hatred, no feud, no documented grievance against the in-laws themselves. The judge declined to speculate. The prosecutors said motive was not required. Maybe it will never be known. Maybe the why is something only one person knows, and that person has chosen, across 8 days of testimony, across the entire trial, across the sentencing, across everything, to say nothing that helps anyone understand it. What is known is this. She sent the children to the movies. She served 4 people from gray plates and 8 from a different one herself. She bought a dehydrator on the same day her phone placed her near a death cap mushroom site. She threw the dehydrator away while her guests were dying. She wiped her phone. She lied to police. She sat in the dock for 10 weeks and maintained it was all an accident. The jury did not believe her. The judge did not believe her. And 3 families in a small Australian town are spending the rest of their lives trying to understand how a Sunday lunch became the last meal 3 of them ever ate.
As Mum and Dad lay in comas at the Austin Hospital in their final days, and each day we were unsure whether they would recover or not, it was comforting to know that when we said, "See you later," we knew it was true. The only thing that we didn't know was when. The hope of "see you later," that was their hope, and it's ours. And in the meantime, we'll miss them.
This is a DVD recorded interview between Detective Leading Senior Constable Stephen Eppingstall and Erin Patterson of 84 Gibson Street, Leongatha, conducted at the Wonthaggi Police Station on Saturday the 5th of August 2023. Other person present is my corroborator.
Detective Senior Constable David Martin LK 40053.
Right. Erin, do you agree the time is now 4:41 PM by my watch?
Yep.
Alright. Could you please state your full name and address for me?
Erin Patterson, 84 Gibson Street, Leongatha.
Alright. Erin, I intend to interview you today in relation to the death of 2 people, being Gail Patterson and Heather Wilkinson. Before continuing, I must inform you that you do not have to say or do anything, but anything you say or do is being recorded and may be used in evidence in court.
Okay.
Do you understand that information?
Yeah.
Alright, I must also inform you of the following rights. You may communicate with or attempt to communicate with a friend or relative to tell that person of your whereabouts.
Okay.
You may communicate with or attempt to communicate with a legal practitioner. If you're not an Australian citizen or permanent resident here in Australia, you may communicate with or attempt to communicate with the consular office of the country of which you are a citizen.
Okay.
Do you understand all of these rights?
Yep.
Okay. Do you wish to exercise any of these rights before the interview proceeds?
No, sorry. No, I don't.
That's all right. Now, I'll just confirm with you that you've had an opportunity to speak to a solicitor before this interview commenced. Okay, and you're happy with that?
Yep.
Alright. Now I'll also remind you that your rights are with you for the entire time you're with us. Okay, so if you decide later on you want to exercise any of those rights, you just let me know and we'll do that. Alright. Now, what is your age and date of birth?
48, 30th of the 9th, 74.
Are you an Australian citizen?
Yeah.
Are you a permanent resident here in Australia?
I was born here and I live here and I'm a resident of Australia. Is that what that was?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
And are you of Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander descent?
No.
Okay. What's your mobile number, Erin?
0480 535 835.
And do you have an email address?
Yes, it's ESH
Yep.
301430 @gmail.com.
Alright. Now, as we discussed earlier, and we've been together for a few hours now, it was after 11:30 that we came to your house today. We want to discuss the deaths of Heather Wilkinson and Gail Patterson today with you. When we were at the house earlier, we discussed that you hadn't really been kept in the loop, and it come as news to you that Heather and Gail had both passed away. Following eating at your house, Donald, Ian, Gail and Heather all become so ill that they ultimately ended up in the intensive care unit at both the Dandenong Hospital and then moved to the Austin Hospital. Right. Following that, they had a deterioration in their condition, and that they become so ill that their livers have failed. Right. Donald underwent transplant last night. Okay, and his condition is still extremely critical as of last report. Heather and Gail passed away. Right. In relation to Ian, I don't have a current prognosis in relation to where he's at. As of late yesterday, the diagnosis isn't great for him either. Right. We're trying to understand what has made them so ill. You understand?
Yeah.
Why we're asking these questions.
Yeah.
Conversely, we're trying to understand why you're not that ill. Right? So you understand why we're interviewing you today?
Yeah, I do. But I'm sure you understand too that, like, I've never been in a situation like this before, and I've been very, very helpful with the health department through the week because I wanted to help that side of things as much as possible because I do want to know what happened. So I've given them as much information as they've asked for and offered up all the food and all the information about where the food came from.
No, I fully understand that.
Yeah.
All right. At the house, and I must say, for the record again, you were very helpful at the house, and you did point out a couple of things for us that will help us with our investigation. Mainly the fruit platter that you said Heather bought for you, and the gravy in the fridge in the pantry that you said was from the night, and you kept on an advice from the health department. So thank you for that. You also pointed out a recipe book on the counter, and you referred me to page 250 odd, a recipe for beef Wellington that you indicated was the recipe that you cooked. Okay. All right. On what we saw at your address in Leongatha. We didn't see a lot of food from Asian grocers or Indian grocers or those kind of stores.
To look in my fridge, I've got a lot of Asian cooking stuff in my fridge.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Are we likely to find more of that kind of stuff in your Mount Waverley address, do you think, or?
No, because I did a big clean out of the pantry and fridge the last time that I was there because I want to sell that place.
Okay. All right.
So the pantry and fridge there will be empty.
Okay. So you want to sell that place? All right, no problem. Obviously, we've got concerns in relation to these mushrooms and where they've come from. Okay. Is that something you've done in the past, foraging for mushrooms or anything like that? Never.
Never.
Right. Do you preserve foods or anything like that?
No.
Have you ever dehydrated food or anything like that? Okay. You've described to me relationship with your ex-partner Simon. I'd like to understand why you had his parents and his uncle and auntie over for lunch on the 29th of July.
Because I've got no other family, so they're the only support I've got left, and they've always been really good to me.
Yeah.
And I want to maintain those relationships with them, in spite of what's happened with Simon.
Yeah. Okay.
I love them a lot. They've always been really good to me, and they always said to me that they would support me with love and emotional support, even though Simon and I were separated, and I really appreciated that.
Yeah.
Because my parents are both gone.
Yeah.
My grandparents are all gone. They're the only family that I've got.
Yeah.
And they're the only grandparents that my children have. And I want them to stay in my kids' life.
Yeah.
And that's really important to me. And I think Simon hated that I still had a relationship with his parents. But I love them. Nothing that's ever happened between us, nothing he's ever done to me will change the fact that they're good, decent people that have never done anything wrong by me ever.
So we've been told that on the 31st of July, so 2 days after the lunch, you went to the Leongatha Hospital, okay, and that you were only there for about 5 minutes and then you left. Can you explain why you went there for 5 minutes?
Yeah, because I just went there thinking I needed a couple of bags of saline because I was really dehydrated. And they said, we want to admit you and send you to Melbourne.
Yeah.
And when you've got animals at home and children who have multiple after-school activities, you can't just be told to drop everything and you're off to Melbourne for overnight. So I had to go home and feed the animals and pack my daughter's ballet bag.
Yep.
And I did that, and I went back.
Okay. Who did you speak to?
So I walked in, and there was like, I don't think they were a nurse. It was like, I don't know, it could have been an enrolled nurse, or it was like a helper person in the triage room, right? And she's just like, are you okay? And I said, well, no, I have to run to the toilet. I've got diarrhea. And she wasn't quite sure where it was, and so she went and found out and showed me where it was. And then she said, I'll go and find someone, I'll get a nurse or a doctor for you. And so I went to the toilet, I came back out, and I was waiting in the triage area, and then a doctor came out, Dr. Webster, and he said to me, sorry, that we're going to be a little while because we've got a couple of critical patients in the hospital. And I said, that's fine, don't worry about me, I'm just a gastro case. I'm not urgent, obviously. And he said, oh, what's your name? And I said, Erin. And he said, oh, we've been expecting you because other people that you ate with on Saturday were sick.
Yeah.
And he said, can you come through? And I said, sure. And I came in. And then he said to me, I can't say the exact words, but he said something along the lines of, we've got a concern they've eaten death cap mushrooms. Okay. And I said, what? And he said, yeah, that's what we think they've eaten.
Yep.
And then he started asking me about what food I served them, and I told him.
All right. I understand you went down to the hospital and got treatment and that. What kind of treatment did you get?
Oh, they hooked me up to a drip.
A drip?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They said that because we're concerned. So Dr. Webster had to leave. I think he was at the end of his shift, and he passed on to another doctor, Dr. Foot. And she said to me, because the concern is that everybody's eaten something that hurts your liver, we need to give you this protective medicine. And so there was saline and acetyl something or other. I don't know what it was. But she said, we need to give you this and then put you in an ambulance up to Melbourne where they can give you more, I don't know what the word is, more, where they can care for you better. Yeah. So I got saline and this other stuff and went in an ambulance up.
Okay. How long were you in the hospital for here in Melbourne?
Till Tuesday afternoon.
Okay, so Monday, Tuesday. Alright. And again, for full disclosure, so you understand, we've obtained warrants in relation to medical records for everyone involved in this, and so we will get medical records in relation to your treatment there as well.
Sure.
Okay.
Good.
You were at home and present when we did a search warrant today. All right. I know you weren't watching everyone at all the time, but I just want to go through on tape some of the stuff we've, and like I said, we'll give you a copy of this, everything we've seized. Kitchen, far left bottom drawer, instruction manual for a Sunbeam food lab, electronic dehydrator. What's that in relation to? Do you know anything about a dehydrator in your house? Or? No. Okay. Do you own a dehydrator?
No. I've got manuals of lots of stuff I've collected over the years. I've had all sorts of appliances and I just keep them all in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
When did you own a dehydrator?
I don't know, I might have had one years ago.
Okay. What did you use that for?
Like when I first got the Thermomix, I got really excited about like making everything from scratch, you know, and I did a lot of, you know, like everything from scratch ingredients, and I did a lot of that, so I could have had something like that.
Okay. Kitchen bench located against the wall, recipe tin eats book. Okay, I'm not sure.
That's that recipe book.
That's that same book that the Wellington recipe come out of? Yeah. Alright. From the fridge we got the fruit salad platter, which you pointed out. Then in the fridge in the butler's pantry we got the white jug containing the brown liquid, which you pointed out as well. So thank you for that. From the study we took the computer, we took another computer, and we took another computer. Right. In the lounge we grabbed an iPad in a black and red case. From the room we've grabbed a computer.
That would be an old one I had up in the top of his cabinet. That's a very old one.
Alright, so that, if I had to prioritise, that would be the bottom of the list.
I don't think anyone's powered that on from fairly.
Okay, alright, no dramas, alright, so we'll pop that one at the back of the list. Alright. A black mobile phone, which again I'll prioritise tomorrow for you.
Thank you.
Upstairs bedroom 2, far left towards backyard. Says Erin's bedroom, so I assume that's yours. Apple iPad.
I don't own any iPads, but they would be tablets, Android tablets.
Oh, okay. There's a Samsung tablet listed below that, located on top of the bed.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe they've got it wrong, that it's not an iPad, it's some other tablet. Samsung tablet. An Oppo mobile phone, and your mobile phone. Alright, so,
and so you said a black mobile phone earlier.
Yep.
So that would be a Nokia. It's a really old Nokia that I've got for, like, you know, if you break your phone and you got to send it away from repair and you need, so I've got this like really old thing. So
That's right.
Yeah.
Your mobile phone would be the top.
Yeah.
And then we're talking
And then
about
his
school computer, followed by
the GeoForce one.
the GeoForce one.
Yeah.
David,
one thing I wanted to clarify to make sure I've got it right. Obviously, you've certainly taking notes. When you went to the Leongatha Hospital and you said you went in there and you got shown to the toilet, but you said you had to go home to pack stuff and your daughter's bag and that sort of thing to feed the animals. When you had the conversation with Dr. Webster, was that when you first went there or afterwards?
I don't remember.
That's all right. The other thing that I should have mentioned that, again, to your credit, police went around your house on that morning. Yep. On the 31st.
Right.
Yep. And they were obviously responding to the hospital call to check up on you.
Yep.
And they spoke to you on the phone. And you gave them the PIN code for your gate.
Correct.
And directed them to the bin where there were some leftovers.
Correct.
What are those leftovers that you directed them to?
They were the uneaten food from the lunch.
Okay. All right. So you helped them in getting that so it could be sampled.
Because my kids ate the meal too.
Yeah.
But there was stuff that was left over and it went straight in the bin. And so when I went to the hospital and they said they were concerned that everyone ate some contaminated food, I said, well, there's the leftovers in the bin, you can have it. Feel free to look through it.
Yep.
And I said, I'll go and get it if you want. And they said, well, that's fine, you need to go on a drip. We'll call the police. And I said, well, that's fine, just let them know I need to give them a PIN code.
Yep.
So they did that and a bag of food appeared a bit later.
Yep.
So
yeah.
Yep.
So thank you for helping us locate that.
It's fine.
All right. Anything else, Dave? No. All right. Any questions at the moment?
No.
All right. Erin, do you agree the time is now 5:30 p.m. by my watch?
Yep.
All right. I'm going to suspend the interview now.